For those of you that I have not met personally, my name is Jose Carrillo. I am your service director here today, and I'm also your host. So if there's anything that you need, please do not hesitate to ask. Before we get started, on behalf of the Green Hills family, we wish to offer our condolences to each and every one of you, especially to the Sabath family during their time of loss. Before we get started, once again, let's go ahead and check our phones. Let's make sure they're on silent or on vibrate, so that way they don't go off during our services. Thank you very much. For just a few moments, I would like to address those that are watching us on our live stream. For those of you that are on our live stream, we'd like to welcome you here to Green Hills. We wish to thank you for tuning in and celebrating Naomi's life with everyone here today. As you're looking on your screen, you are going to see three icons, or there's going to be one main icon which looks like a camera. We're going to ask that you would go ahead and press that camera. It'll give you two views. It will give you a back to front and a front to back view, so you'll be able to see who is here. Also, there is another icon that says video. When the video starts in just a few moments, you can go ahead and press that button as well, and you'll be able to see the video along with us together. So even though you may not be here physically, you're here in spirit and you're watching us, and we want to thank you. I know the family is appreciative of those of you that have taken your time to tune in and watch Naomi's celebration of life. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Cliff. Thank you very much.
Hello. I think you all know me. I chose not to have a clergy person today because. How's that? Oh, yeah, that sounds much better. All right, so I chose not to have a clergy person. They asked me if I wanted a pastor or minister, rabbi, but I didn't want somebody to talk about her that didn't really know her and had never met her. So I just figured we'd talk about her. So I'm going to talk, and then Nicole will talk, and then we'll show a little video that we put together. It's about 5 minutes. And then we'll open it up, if there's any time left, to the audience. If anybody else wants to speak, I guess you wanted to speak, Dad, and we can pass the mic around, and that's basically how it'll go. All right. So to start, I want to get the unpleasant part out of the way really quick. I know when I told you people about how that she died, some people wanted to know what happened and how did she die and what went on. They didn't know anything about it, and so I know if I would feel that way if somebody I cared about, I'd want to know what happened too. So I'll just tell you very quickly a brief summary of it all. It was back in August or July of last year, they found a tumor that had cancer, but that's not what she died from. They actually were able to cure the cancer. She had surgery. The doctor felt that he got it all, and they did a scan, a PET scan, it's called, a few weeks after that, and there was no sign of any cancer left in her body. So actually, if we had stopped there, Naomi would still be alive today and healthy. But what happened was the doctor said to us, we really recommend that you also do chemotherapy to be safe, because you never know, like a little microscopic cell that's not detectable on the scans right now could have traveled away from the surgical site and come back in 2 years and spread or something, and then she would die. So he said it's a 60% chance if the surgery alone has cured her and it won't come back. But if you do the chemo also, it goes up to 90% chance that she's cured. So we said, well, that sounds like a no-brainer. We need to do the chemo. And for most people, most of the time, that would be a good choice. But Naomi, unfortunately, had bad luck, and she turned out to be, one of the rare exceptions that the chemo really damaged her severely. And basically, she went into liver failure, and her liver stopped working. And they tried to get her a transplant, but they couldn't because she had just had that cancer diagnosis, so she wasn't eligible for a liver transplant. They need to be like 5 years without any recurrence for that. So that's basic. Things kind of went downhill after that. When you have liver failure, it causes other problems in your body. Then she had kidney failure, and then she was on dialysis, and she had breathing problems, she had a ventilator, and she was very weak, and she was prone to infections. She caught some kind of very serious infections that go around hospitals that are resistant to antibiotics. They call them superbugs. And it just, finally, her body just sort of gave out. And so that was like a 4-month kind of ordeal that we all went through. So that's what happened. So I guess you're sort of up to date on just what actually happened to her. Today I'd like to talk about the things that we really appreciated about her. And because she deserves a really good tribute. My goal was to get through this without crying. So I'm still working on it. So I figured I decided to talk about, tell a story about her that shows a side of her that not a lot of people got to see. When people think about her, they think about, a really sweet person that is really nice to everybody. And but she actually, that's all true and that's all real, but she actually was a very powerful woman, and she didn't really need to show that side of herself very often. And she didn't need to, she just sort of knew that and kept it to herself most of the time. But I got to see that some of the time. And so I'll tell you a quick story that sort of shows that part of her. She had like a feminine power. The traditional concept of when you talk about a powerful person, you think of the masculine type of power with a show of strength and aggression or intimidation, that kind of power. But there's a feminine kind of power that's more subtle but very effective and impactful too. And she was really good at that. She developed that. And so the story she told this, when we first started going out together and I was just getting to know her, she told me this story. She was working at the YA. There's probably some people here from the YA. It stands for Youth Authority. That's like it was a correctional institution for juveniles, mostly teenagers and stuff, and she was a social worker there. And so the story goes like this. The staff were trying to get something from one of the kids there who was kind of a mean, kind of badass, tough gangster type gangbanger kid. And he didn't want to cooperate, and they needed him to do something. And they were frustrated, and I don't remember exactly what it was because this was about close to 40 years ago. But I remember the important parts. So they couldn't get him to do it, and they were frustrated. So Naomi was there, and she said, "You want me to talk to him and get him to do it for you?" And they said, "What are you going to do that's going to make him change his mind and want to cooperate with us?" I'll just talk to him. And they go, "You can try if you want. You need somebody in there to keep you safe?" And she goes, No, I got my panic button they wear, just in case. So they said, "All right." So they brought the kid into her office, and they started talking, and so the conversation went roughly like this. She said, "So I understand you're kind of a tough guy, like a kind of a macho tough guy, huh? He goes, yeah, absolutely. I represent, and all that. And she goes, oh, I guess you're probably kind of successful with the ladies too, huh? Are you a ladies' man? And he goes, hell yeah. They love that. They can't get enough of me. He goes, oh, wow. She goes, how many partners have you had, like, let's say, in the last year? And he said, I don't know, a lot, And she goes, well, is it more than 8? And he goes, 8? Yeah, definitely more than 8. She goes, oh, wow. She goes, so you always use protection? He goes, no, I don't. You mean like a condom? No, I don't play with that stuff. I don't like that. I don't need that raincoat thing. Forget that. And she goes, oh, well, then you know what? I'm sorry. I have to report this according to that new law. He goes, report what? What new law? She goes, oh, yeah, there's a new law. It just went into effect this year with the health department. It says if a state employee like us finds someone who has had more than 8 partners within 1 year period, and they didn't use any protection, then we have to go to their city of residence and put up these flyers with your photo on it, and it'll say, did you have sex with this man? If so, please call the health department at this number to get screened for a possible sexually transmitted disease. And he said, what? You can't do that. She goes, no, it's okay. It's just a new rule we have to go by. I get in trouble if we don't do it. Because you can't put up posters around town that say I might have given people a disease. She goes, no, it's just in a few public places, that's all, like in the public library, the DMV, some of the parks, the public parks, and a couple of bulletin boards on grocery stores and health clubs. That's it. And he goes, you can't do that. Please, lady, don't do that. And she goes, well, he goes, you can't put up signs in my photo saying my dick is poison. I get out of here in a year and a half, people will remember that still. And she goes, oh, I feel bad for you, because I think you're right. I think people will remember that. And I think they'll probably remember that for like years, because they'll probably, when they see it, they go, oh my God, it's that guy with the diseases. That's going to be rough on you. I'm sorry, but that's the law. I can't. I don't want to lose my job, So he goes, no, you don't report it, please. She goes, well, you wouldn't ask me to do you a favor that I'd risk losing my job. That wouldn't be fair, right? He goes, yes, it would be fair. I'll do you a favor. And she goes, oh, well, you wouldn't even do the thing that the staff asked you to do. And he goes, I'll do it. And she goes, when? He goes, I'll do it right now. I'll do it as soon as I leave here, as long as you promise not to put up the posters around my town. And he goes, all right, can I trust you? And, yes, I promise. I'll do it right now. She says, okay, but I tell you what. You can't tell anybody about the posters, because if somebody hears about it, then I'll get in trouble. And then somebody else will just take over, and they'll do the posters. So you got to just keep that just between us. And he goes, okay, I don't want anybody to know about that anyway. I'm not going to tell anyone. And she goes, all right, I'll trust you. I'll give you a chance. Let's see if you. So then they have an agreement. And he walks out and she walks out, and then the staff person comes over. He goes, well, how'd your little talk go? I guess, you just can't reach everybody. Some of these guys are just too hardcore. They're just sort of a lost cause. And, you can't expect to reach him. He goes, oh, no, he's going to do it for you. What do you mean? He's going to do it right now, actually. He is. He didn't want to do it at all. And he's, hey, are you going to take? Yeah, I'm going to take care of that for you. I'm on it right now. And he goes, okay, that's good. Then he says to Naomi, what did you say to him? And she wouldn't tell him. She never told him. They still don't know. Today's the first time that anybody's finding out about it. And so I was saying, wow. So I said, so let me get this straight. So you had this gangbanger, tough, badass, kind of intimidating guy, and then he became like a desperate, panic, groveling guy before you. And then he thanked you over and over. He said, thank you, thank you. He thanked you repeatedly for you letting him do the thing that he refused to do for the other staff. She goes, well, yeah, I guess I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, that's what happened, yeah. And I go, oh. So, well, I guess then in your professional role here as a social worker, I suppose you did that because you thought that would teach him an important life lesson, that he would sort of get to experience the rewards of, not, doing the right thing, and how that would help him, grow as a person, right? I guess that was kind of your thoughts about it. And she says, no, I just felt like messing with him. He was a real jerk. And I said, oh, okay. And I thought to myself, I suppose then I should remember not to mess with you, because, holy shit. I go, this girl's a little more scary than I originally thought from my first impression. And I love that about her. So I start to respect her more and more by the minute as this went on. So that's just sort of an example of what she could do if she felt like it. Like she heard these people frustrated, they couldn't reach this person, and they needed him to do something badly. But they told her she couldn't do anything. She just said, well, look, she didn't pay attention to that because she kind of knew she could. And so she did. And she had that confidence. So that's that feminine power. And my daughter got some of that from her. And but my daughter also takes a little bit after me too, because she's a second-degree black belt, and so it's possible for someone to have both masculine and feminine power at the same time as part of their personal resources and skills, So that's a side of Naomi that she didn't ever really need to show. And she was the only one in our family, because I got my son involved in martial arts too. She was the only one who didn't have any involvement in martial arts at all. She had zero interest in learning martial arts at all. And I said, well, it might be good, some self-defense techniques in Kate. Definitely not. And I could tell pretty quickly that we were never going to see Naomi in some kind of uniform on some mat somewhere going, hi! But it's never going to happen. But what was interesting is in her whole entire life, she never, ever needed that. And just why? I don't know. Like, is it just luck or coincidence? Or did she just know that she already had everything she needed and nobody wanted to mess with her? So she just was able to do that. And she just had that confidence. So, yeah, you can't argue with a perfect lifelong track record of success like that. So, but what was nice about Naomi for me is that she liked to watch martial arts and sports. You hear guys complain about how, my wife doesn't like it when I watch football and all that stuff. Naomi was the opposite. Like, I would sleep in on Sunday morning and I'd come down, she's already watching the game for an hour or so. She was really into it. She loved watching, martial arts stuff like boxing, with whether it was Pacquiao, or whether it was UFC with Conor McGregor, any of those. She was like into it. I go, you want to pay $80 for pay-per-view? Yeah, definitely. So that was fun to have a partner that really enjoyed all those kind of sports stuff together. So that was good. One time, here's a fun story about the sports. So one time, I used to play softball like every week for like 10 years with a bunch of guys every weekend. And one time I had like 5 of them over to watch a football game. It might have been a Super Bowl, or it just might have been a big game of some type. But I had like 5 guys over. And so we were watching, and Naomi was like crocheting with her little needles and stuff. And there was a call on the field. They stopped, and they said, what's going on? There's a penalty. There's a flag down. I don't know what it is. And they're wondering, well, we'll have to wait and see what the referee says. So I just said, Naomi, what's the call? And she goes, clipping. And my friend Mike goes, clipping? And then the announcer on TV goes, okay, it looks like they're making it a clipping call. Let's look at the replay. And these guys looked over at Naomi. What's going on over here? So she just went back to her, and she goes, oh yeah, she goes, he clipped the guy. Okay. I wouldn't have known that. So, yeah. Now, I'll tell you another couple quick stories about her. So my dad's here today. He just turned 100, so that's nice. So I think it was about 10 years ago or so. He was a youngster, 90. And he called me one day and he said, so listen, I'm 90 now. I was talking to Sybil. We decided we should kind of get together our will and our affairs and stuff and just put things in place. We need to assign somebody to be the executor or the trustee of things, and we need somebody. We were talking to who to pick, and we need somebody who's like very trustworthy and someone we respect, and someone who has a lot of integrity that we can rely on to do our wishes. And I said, okay, I appreciate that, thanks. And they said, so we just we wanted to know if it was okay with you that we decided to choose Naomi. And I said, no problem. I'll be happy to help you with. Wait, what? So then I thought, yeah, that's an excellent choice, because you can definitely count on her to do exactly what you needed, and that's just sort of the way people reacted to her. She just would keep earning my respect. She would say things to me like, oh, I want to get some gifts for Justin's teachers, because they really worked well with him to help him pass that high school exit exam, and I want to give him some gifts and stuff. And I said, oh, well, that'll be nice. And then I thought to myself, in my entire life, there's never been one single time when I had a thought like, I want to get some gifts for Justin's teachers. Like, that never even occurs to me. And I thought, what does that say about me? Am I supposed to be as nice as Naomi? And I said, no, okay, I can't judge myself like that. Nobody's as nice as Naomi, so don't worry about it. But she would just do stuff like that all the time. She was always thinking of things that she could do for people. So I'll say something else, and then I'll kind of wrap it up. This might sound a little odd, but I have a reason for saying it. But it's interesting that we were together for 37 years, and we never ever cheated on each other. And you might say, well, Cliff, that's nothing to brag about. You know, you're not supposed to cheat on your spouse. You don't get a medal for that. And but there are some people in this room right now that knew me in college, and they would be impressed by that if they believed me. But it is true. And I've been a therapist for 40 years or so, and a lot of people cheat. It happens. So why didn't I cheat? So it was, I knew in the first couple of years, I knew for sure I wasn't going to give in to any temptation like that came up. But the first couple of years, it was a little painful. For some reason, there are some women that when you get married, now they want you. Don't ask me to explain why. They're not my patients. But so there was some opportunities that came up with and so I turned it down. But I thought about it at night. I can't believe I turned that girl down. God, I guess this is the new normal from now on. But then what's interesting is that it got easier and easier as time went on to where it wasn't painful at all. And it wasn't even an issue. And that's because I started to experience the rewards of having a relationship like that. Because, what is it that makes that work? And do they have to be super sexy and a supermodel to have you not want to cheat? No, it really, that doesn't work. That's actually not enough. It won't work. What it really came down to for me, and what I think is the thing, is that you have to respect the person, truly respect this person. And when you respect them, and you know that they trust you, and you know you can trust them, you just don't want to. And that's what makes it work. Because you would never want to damage that trust, because that's your future. And it's not worth it. And so it just became easier and easier. And to where it was never a problem. And it was funny because I would do things like every year I would go away for a week. I had a close friend, the best man at my wedding. I was his best man at his wedding. But then one time he moved away to Santa Cruz. And so we'd have 1 week out of the year where we'd spend together. I would go up to Macworld and see Steve Jobs give his keynote speech each year. And then I would spend the rest of the week with my friend. And we'd stay up till 4 in the morning and, cram a whole year of friendship into that, 4 or 5 days each year. And I did that for 19 years in a row. And so I was telling some guy about this, and he said something to me it's interesting. You just go away for a week, huh? I go, yeah. And so how often you got to check in with your wife? And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, well, how often you have to call her just so she knows you're not fooling around and stuff like that, you have to call her by a certain time or something. I go, never. He goes, never? I go, she's not my parole agent. She's my wife. So YA people could appreciate that. But, I couldn't imagine her ever saying something to me like, I need you to check in with me. And I could never say something like that to her either. Because she would go away sometimes too. She went away with you for a conference in Carmel for 3 or 4 days and things like that. So, I would never embarrass myself by saying something like, you got to check in with me so I know you're not fooling around. because she would just laugh at me. She'd probably just think I was kidding. But yeah, it was hard for him to imagine that you could not worry about that. But you can have that in a relationship, and we had that. So she was a really good partner. So that's about it. Yeah, I was proud of my partner. I was proud to be your husband. I'm pretty sure she felt that way about me, at least most of the time, I hope. All right. All right, we'll have Nicole speak for a minute. Okay, thanks. Thanks for coming, by the way.
I wrote some notes, but I'll probably just be like bouncing around. Like this? Okay, yeah, that makes a difference. So just to like kind of transition to what you were talking about, the best marriage advice that my mom gave me was, just pick your battles. And, if it doesn't like really matter in a year or 5 years, it's not worth arguing over it. And when I start crying, like my throat closes up and like my heart hurts, so it sucks. I think we're like the same. But I'm gonna try to like project. But my dad's best advice was don't ever settle, because he never did. So I thought that was a little better, better advice. So my mom was 34 when she had me, and she died at 68. So within like 8 to 16 days, she had me like at the exact midpoint of her life. I was thinking about that today. I was like, wow, that's crazy. She was the best mom I could like have ever hoped for. She's very supportive. She gave love like in acts of service. She would always do things for me. My dad would be like more words of affirmation, and I kind of like responded to that a little better. She stopped saying she loved me every day, so I thought she didn't love me, but then, he made me like confront her about it, like against my will. And, then she's like, don't you see all the things I do for you? Like I do so much for you. And I'm like, all right, yeah. So she showed her love through acts of service, and she liked to receive love through, I think, like words of affirmation. She liked to know that she was appreciated in everything that she would do for people. And I was reading this book called Moment of Lift, and one of the chapters by Melinda Gates. One of the chapters go over unpaid work, how just women in America, like all over the world, but in America, women do on average like 4 hours of unpaid work a day, whereas men do like 2.5 hours of unpaid work a day. And if you have like a loving and supporting husband, and like they, average it out to each other or like spread it out through the family, it empowers the women to focus more on paid work, and it enriches the life for everyone around them. And my mom didn't even have to like read that chapter. She just knew that when I was born, and so she would outsource work that she didn't want to do. She'd hire other women and men to like do housework for her that she just didn't like doing. And and then babysitting us, she'd like take breaks, and she'd go on like a date night with my dad and then come back like renewed and like ready to be good parents. And I think that really helped, and it enriched my life and my brother's life. And we got to go travel. I'm sure she got, higher salary since, she was able to work better at work. And we got to travel a lot. We got to go to the beach, the park, and like she put me in Girl Scouts because that's what she enjoyed doing when she was growing up. She played tennis in high school, so that made me feel like I could be good at tennis in high school. And I told my parents one day, like, yeah, I think, I don't want to just do PE. I want to like join a team. So I'm going to try out for tennis. But that's in 2 months. I could go like every day and get good at it first before I try out. And my dad's like, you can't just learn tennis in like 2 months. And I was like, watch me. And so I tried out. I made the team. I got on lineup. And so my scores counted. And we got number 1 in the division, So that was pretty cool. And then, so I did tennis, ice skating. My brother did baseball. They put us in martial arts. So we had a very enriched life. We were like always busy, always learning. And, like for homework, she would make me do everything. And then like for math especially, I wasn't really good. So her and my dad would like go over my homework for me and go over all the wrong answers so that I could get like the best grades and everything. And then when they couldn't do that anymore, they hired a tutor and then helped me through that too. But yeah, one time we were over at our friend Rick's house for a Super Bowl party, and I hadn't finished my homework. So I finished it there at the party, and then during the Super Bowl, my dad and my mom were like going over my math homework. And then their friend Rick was like, this isn't normal, right? Like, just let her get whatever grade she's going to get. Like, whatever, work she puts into it, she's going to reap the benefits. And so they're like, no. And then they just kept going over my homework. But yeah, they just wanted me to get into like the best college possible within a 20-minute radius from the house. So I wasn't allowed to go. Like my Aunt Janine and I and my dad were talking like maybe a few weeks ago. And she told me that, my son Forrest, I told him, go wherever you want to go. Whatever college you want to go, apply and then, I'll support you, whatever. And then he just decided to go to like a college like half an hour to an hour away from my house, And me and my cousin are different people, because if my dad told me, like, you could go wherever you want to go, anywhere in the world, I would have gone to Italy. Like, I would have totally 100% left the country. Like, I probably would be living in Italy today. So he knew I had to get, like, I'd have parameters, or else he wouldn't have, he would not have funded my college life. So, one time, like if parenting were a competition, one time my mom like won a few points, was when, they put me in preschool at 2 years old, like probably 2 days after I turned 2, they put me in preschool. And, so then when I was 20, I was still in college, and I found out about this like European tour, where I could go with a tour bus, like about 2 buses, and we would split individually like a group rate. So I was like, look, here's the itinerary, like they already have it all planned out, and it's going to be really great. I think I'm going to make really great memories. I'm going to have so much fun. Like there's a 100% chance I'm going to have like all the fun I've ever had in my life. And my dad was like, well, I didn't get to go to Europe until I was like 35, and that was on my honeymoon. And I was like, cool story, so it's going to be $3,000, and I'm going to be gone for like a month. And then he went to go watch Taken with Liam Neeson, and my mom pulled out her checkbook and was like, how much is it? But then eventually they agreed, and like I got to go. So she also funded, or like financially supported, any like educational ventures I wanted to go for. Like she funded like my bachelor's degree, and then when I was done and I couldn't get like a good job even with a bachelor's in California, I decided I wanted to go for my master's. And then she was like, oh yeah, do that, and of course that would financially support you. I was like, I was just gonna get loans. And she's like, no, like you can't get a job, so of course I'll fund you, and I couldn't really do that without her. So that was really sweet. I wanted to get like a part-time job, in college to gain like experience, and she said, I'd rather you take another 3-unit course and graduate early than, and then, you get a part-time job. And I didn't really argue, so that's what happened. I'm just did not get the job. But I could how much time do I have? I could talk about this forever. I have 12 minutes. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we got to travel everywhere. Like, we got to go to Europe. We got to go to China with a Kung Fu tour. That was really fun. That was really special. Those 2 times are probably, like, my favorite trips of my life, just being able to, like, go around with my family. Mom wasn't with me when we went to Korea, but yeah, that was a highlight too. And when she broke her, when she had a stroke in like 2010, I kind of just stopped kind of taking her for granted, like she was going to live forever. And that's when I started cherishing like every single moment with her. And I felt like I listened to her more, I listened to what she had to say, like, and just try to remember everything she'd tell me. And then in 2018, she like broke her leg, and I went over there to their house, and I would like help her, you know, go to the bathroom and like wash her hair and like wash her body and stuff, and cook for her. I feel like nothing was unsaid, and I'm just really grateful to have had that much time, because like not a lot of people get like 34 years, you know, to be with their mom. And it's like really sad, like when people are like, oh, well, you know, I was younger when I lost my mom. I just feel so bad for them, you know. I got to see them a lot. Like sometimes it just felt like every day I got to go over there and see them. We just had like a really close and really great relationship. You know, she was just very nurturing. And yeah, I would buy her like nice gifts. I'd like try to show her like, you know, I really appreciated her and loved her. And she knew. When she did have like that broken leg, and I was going over there like every day for 6 months, she was like, Nicole, when you have kids, have a girl, because they take care of you the best. I was like, yeah, sure, because I could, you know, I could do that. I could predict. But yeah, I knew she was proud of me. Like, I knew she was really proud of me. Yeah, that's what I get for skipping around, but whatever. And then, like, when I was in school, like, she would ask me a lot of questions about how my day went, what I learned in every single class, and, like, my social life. And then she'd ask me, like, who my friends were. She knew all the names to all my friends. It was, like, pretty cool. And then when they came over, like, she'd recognize them. Like, she'd just remember. I guess that doesn't really happen that much, but I kind of took that for granted until I didn't. She lived a shorter life than average, but I feel like the quality of her life was very fulfilled. Like, she was very fulfilled. My dad and I, like, visited her in the hospital every single day. We made sure, if we couldn't, then we made sure that she had people visiting her every single day. And when my grandma was kind of on her side, like when her mom was dying, it took her like 1.5 years to die. And she went into hospice, and my mom visited her every single day for like at least half an hour. And when my grandpa died, like, you know, he had a stroke, and then since it was a geriatric stroke, he was like 95, they said that he couldn't really recover. So for 2 weeks, she went over to his house every single day just to make sure that he was not in pain and like he could get everything that he needed to be comfortable. And she told me multiple times, like, if that ever happens to me, if I ever have to go to hospice or be in the hospital, like, I want you to visit me every single day, you know? Like, she wished she could just fall asleep and just never wake up, and that would be, like, the way to go. But that didn't really happen. So, yeah, she kind of groomed me and my dad to, like, definitely visit her every single day. And we kept our promise and then more. Like, we made sure other people would visit her too. One time, like, she had at least 2 to 4 people visit her every day in the hospital. And at one time, there was like 6 people who visited her, and she's like, yeah, that's too much, I'm tired. But the point is, we kept our promise. Yeah, I still feel her presence. Like, whenever I think of her, I feel her just like wrapping me in love wherever I go, and it's a very calming and grounding feeling. I just feel like she's always with me, but just in like a different type of energy, you know, and that gives me a lot of comfort. But yeah, I could talk about her forever. So, yeah. I guess that's it. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, now we're gonna cue a video.
So we have, well, we're almost out of time, actually. Are we almost out of time? Huh? A few? Okay. So if anybody else just wants to say something about Naomi or whatever, that you can, we'll take a few minutes to do that. And I want to thank Eileen for helping me with the video.
Actually, Cliff stole my thunder. I was going to talk about the choice for a trustee for our living trust. And I remember going over, we met Naomi once, and she says, "What's happening?" I says, "Oh, we have a lot of decisions to make. We're making a living trust, and we have all these decisions to choose about the money, the home, the jewelry. But the most important decision was who should be the trustee." And so she said, "Well, what are the qualities you're looking for?" I said, "Well, we want somebody with good judgment, a broad base, very grounded, has people skills, can handle a crisis without getting, being calm and objective." And so I said, "Well, I have 3 kids. We have a second marriage, Sybil and I. I have 3 kids. They're all pretty sophisticated, and they have college degrees and whatnot. And Sybil has 2 wonderful kids who are very sophisticated, educated, and have very high-level administrative skills and so on." So it was a big question, how do we make a decision? Because there was more than one person qualified to be the trustee. But after we looked at all the qualities we wanted, it became very easy. We chose Naomi because she had more of all those qualities than anybody else. She's an amazing person. So I decided to tell the story even though you stole my thunder. There was one other incident I thought I might mention that shows the breadth of her range of capability. Oh, it's too close? Closer? How's this testing? 1, 2, 3? Closer? Okay, good. There's another incident that demonstrated her range of capability. I was in business with Cliff, financing the insurance returns for different therapists. And so it was a business we went to for several years, and it amounted to, we eventually sold the business. And when we sold the business, there was a big question of how do we deal with all the taxes, because it was kind of complicated. And so Cliff and I worked it out, and we felt pretty good about how we figured out all these taxes. And then the day or so after we finished, I get a call from Naomi, and she says, "You know those bad debts that you used to have when these people didn't pay back the money you advanced them?" She says, "Have you taken advantage of those bad debts?" And we hadn't. And so here she comes out of nowhere giving us tax advice. I can't believe how far-reaching her range of capability is. She's just all-knowing. That's one thing I can tell you about Naomi. She's all-knowing and, of course, all-wonderful. And we all are crazy about her. The whole family. One of the things that for the trustee, we wanted somebody that everybody trusted. And it was easy to choose. Everybody loved Naomi. Everybody trusted her. Everybody respected her because she was that wonderful. Just wanted to mention that.
Okay, does anybody else want to speak at all right now? Okay. You want to? Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jackie. I've been friends with Nicole for almost 20 years. We met when we were in high school. And I just wanted to share a couple of nice memories that I've had of your mom. Me and Nicole met when I was trying to be in the tennis team, but I really sucked, so I decided to be a TA. And that's how our friendship started, also because I worked at Cinnabon and I would bring cinnamon rolls to practice. So that's how we became friends. I'm a year ahead of Nicole, and during our graduation from North High, Nicole's mom gave us some graduation cards, just a couple of us. And I remember opening the card, and I was like, oh my gosh, Nicole, your mom gave me $100. And then we were kind of nudging each other, like, this is really nice of her, you know, and I had hardly spoken with your parents because I'm always just speaking with you whenever I visited. And it was just so kind, like such a kind gesture. And, you know, we're 17, 18 years old, and $100 is a lot of money. It still is a lot of money. But fast forward to when Nicole was moving out of one of the college homes, or the homes when she was in college. I was helping her and her mom move Nicole out, and I remember putting, you know, all these boxes in Nicole's mom's car, and I saw in the back seat there was this utility belt of pepper spray, and I was thinking, why does Naomi have this? Like, and I asked Nicole, I was like, what does your mom do? What does she do? Like, what does she do for a job? She's, oh yeah, she works in, you know, a facility with like troubled youth. And I was like, but why does she need this? She goes, oh, because, you know, there's a lot of people, like, you know, questionable, bad youngsters there. I was like, oh, and I just never would have thought that this kind little lady would work in such a place, and it kind of mirrors what you all had shared with her. And I was thinking, and I remember looking at your mom after that, and I was like, wow, she must be really scary underneath all that kindness and like such a warm heart. And I was like, I don't ever want to upset her. And I just remember her being so kind whenever I just pop up to your home in Gardena, just, hey, how's it going? Is Nicole home, kind of thing. And she'd always welcome me, and she was very detail-oriented. And months would pass when I hadn't had come over or anything like that, and she would remember very specific things. You know, how's your mom? How's your mom's brother? How's your brother? Like, how's your dad? Like, very specific things, names and people, and she always remembered my name too. And I was thinking, wow, like, she can, like, does she know things about me that I don't know, or what's going on here? But she was always very welcoming and very loving, and I don't know if I looked hungry, but she always said, come over, do you need a snack? And she would literally open up all the pantries and the fridge and say, do you want a drink? And I was thinking, wow, Nicole, your mom's so nice, like, I'll never go hungry here, kind of thing. And then a little bit later, too, when I got married and had kids, Nicole had come to my house, and her mom had hand knit this beautiful striped blue and white baby blanket for my first son. And I thought, gosh, that was so sweet, you know, just, she's like, hey, my mom made this for you. And then Nicole would come over and say, hey, my mom had made some kid masks for you during the COVID time. And they're actually my favorite masks. She made adult masks and like different designs. And then she would also bring over a Ziploc bag of these tiny Disney toys. If you spend so much amount of money at the grocery store, they give you these little Disney toys. And so she saved them for my kids. And I thought, gosh, your mom's thinking of me, and I haven't seen her in so many years. And I feel like that's Naomi. And I'm so grateful to have met the Sabath family almost 20 years ago. And Nicole, I can say that you and your mom, like, you are your mom's daughter, and you have a lot of the same generosity and kindness and love. And I'm so grateful that your mom was so loving and shared that with everybody here. So that's all.
What wonderful stories of Naomi. I like what the gentleman said, is all-knowing and all beautiful. And that's what we are here today to celebrate, the life of Naomi. And on behalf of the Sabath family, I want to thank you for coming and showing your love and support. To those of you who joined us on the live stream, we want to say thank you to you as well for being here in spirit with the Sabath family during this difficult time. That does conclude our service here in the chapel. We're going